Welcome back to the lounge. It's Bobby D here. I ran into this video of Speaker Johnson, who is number 3 in line for the White House, and he is reported in this video here that he was very much well aware that Joe Biden was incompetent a year and a half ago. Now, we all knew it, but he had proof of it. He'd seen it and it witnessed it firsthand, but didn't say anything knowing that Donald Trump was going up against Joe Biden in the election before they threw Biden out on his ass and sent Kamala Harris in there to try to own Donald Trump, which, you know, we've seen how that worked out. But just the mere fact that Speaker Johnson knew this disturbing information that I'm about to play, and he kept his mouth shut, I think it's very telling, and it begs the question, why would somebody that's that low in integrity hold such a position of power? Why would we trust him? If he did not have enough intestinal fortitude to come to the media before Congress and before his constituents and say what he says right here, why should he ever be trusted in a position of power? Let's check this out.
I do stand by it, and I say this without any personal animus at all. I mean, in some ways, I actually kind of feel sorry for Joe Biden. I mean, he's in the twilight years of his life. He is not, obviously, has not been in charge for some time. And I know this by personal observation, and now the whole world knows it. And it's been very, very concerning to me over the last, year and a half since I've had this position.
Can you tell us a story when you say personal observation?
Well, I mean, it's public now because the Wall Street Journal got it and put it on the front page. But January a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, I had been asked, I became Speaker in October 2023, and there were all sorts of big national security concerns and everything going on, and I started requesting a meeting with the President because, I'm kind of old school, I'm a constitutional law guy. Speaker of the House should be able to talk to the President, especially in times of great national interest and calamity. But they wouldn't let me meet with him, and his staff kept giving me excuses. This went on for like 8 or 9 weeks. I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker, he doesn't have time. What are you talking about? I'm second in line of the presidency. He has time. I need to talk to him. We had, I can't say the classified parts, but we had some big national concerns at the time that I was losing sleep over. Finally, I just went to the Hill Press Corps and I said, the president is not being allowed to meet with the speaker. There's a problem. So they started putting pressure on him. Long story short, they finally relented. They invited me to the White House. I show up and I realize it's actually an ambush because it's not just me and the president. It's also Kamala Harris, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem, the CIA director, everybody. And then, so I walked in the Oval and, I know what this is. They're going to hotbox the speaker on Ukraine funding. That's what it was. This is probably third week of January. We sit down, we're in the midst of it, and the whole conversation, and I'm going, we don't need to have this conversation. The president reaches over just like this. We're sitting right next to the fireplace in the Oval, and he grabs my arm and he says, the speaker and I just need a couple minutes together. Would y'all just leave us alone? And I looked up on the faces of some of the staff standing around the wall, and they're like, oh, no, he did it. So he called it. He's the commander-in-chief. So everybody leaves, and he and I are standing awkwardly in the middle of the Oval Office right over the rug by that coffee table. And I said, Mr. President, thanks for the moments. This is very important. I got some big national security things I need to talk to you about that I've heard, and I think you know, and what do we do? But first, real quickly, Mr. President, can I ask you a question? I cannot answer this from my constituents in Louisiana. Sir, why did you pause LNG exports to Europe? I don't understand, liquefied natural gas is in great demand by our allies. Why would you do that? Because you understand, we just talked about Ukraine. You understand you're fueling Vladimir Putin's war machine because they got to get their gas from him, And he looks at me stunned with this, and he said, I didn't do that. I said, Mr. President, yes, you did. It was an executive order 3 weeks ago. He goes, no, I didn't do that. He's arguing with me. I said, Mr. President, respectfully, could I go out here and ask your secretary to print it out? We'll read it together. You definitely did that. And he goes, oh, you talk about natural gas. Yes, sir. He said, no, you misunderstand. He said, what I did is I signed this thing we're gonna conduct a study on the effects of LNG. I said,
now you get that? He thought he was signing a study on LNG. Unbelievable. And Speaker Johnson knew this for a year and a half before the election and said nothing to his constituents.
no, you're not, sir. You paused it. I know. I have the export terminals in my state. I talked to those people this morning. This is doing massive damage to our economy, national security. It occurred to me, Barry, He was not lying to me. He genuinely did not know what he had signed. And I walked out of that meeting with fear and loathing because I thought, we're in serious trouble. Who is running the country? Like, I don't know who put the paper in front of him, but he didn't know.
So he says he left that meeting with fear and loathing. Shouldn't we loathe the fact that he withheld that information for over a year and a half from the American public? That's kind of a big deal when the president of the United States doesn't know what the hell he's signing, and the speaker is right there, confronts him, talks about it, and understands that Joe Biden had no idea that he was what he was signing. How many things has Joe Biden signed that he had no freaking clue? And we've got a speaker in Mike Johnson that is well aware of it and yet says nothing, especially knowing that he was going up against Donald Trump, and Joe Biden perhaps could have been the president of the United States again, won another 4 years. I mean, it's true enough, Trump kicked his ass, but what if, there's 1,000 scenarios where Biden could have done it. 3 a.m., they could have pushed it over the line, whatever, and he kept his mouth shut. That could have affected the election, just him keeping his mouth shut. And he's Speaker of the House, and we're supposed to trust the third in line for the presidency, and he keeps his mouth shut about something that important. I think that in itself is a story, and I think it's very damn disturbing. It's very telling as well of who Mike Johnson truly is. Anyway, guys, please like, share, subscribe. If there's anything you want me to talk about, then let me know. Thank you once again for joining me at the lounge. Bobby D here. Look forward to it. See you next time.